If you've searched on YouTube for anything to do with Amazon FBA, you can almost guarantee that you'll have come across countless videos from people that all say that they've made hundreds of thousands selling on Amazon, and they've done it all in a single month. What they often won't reveal though is that the big figure that they're talking about, it's revenue and it's not profit. Whilst hitting high revenue figures is impressive and it can give you an insight into how big that person's Amazon FBA business is, what people really want to know is how much profit has been made. Now that we've just reached the end of the second quarter of the year, given that my business has grown quite a bit since the last update that I did, I thought it would be a good time to give you an insight into exactly how my Amazon FBA business has performed over the past 3 months. And I'm not just talking about revenue performance, I'm talking sales, revenues, Amazon costs and expenses, and above all else, profit. I want to give you a really clear idea of exactly what it's like to be an Amazon seller. So rather than just talking about the top line like all the other guys out there do, we're going to be taking a much deeper dive. In total, I sold 25,233 units, or 280 units on average per day. And these sales mainly came from 5 of my top selling products. In fact, one of the products that I only launched and found back in January, that sold 5,610 units, or 25% of my total sales, which is amazing to see. Total revenues for the last 3 months came to £391,000, which means that I have an average selling price of around £15. And that is very much a price that's in the sweet spot zone for customers. When looking to price any product that you want to sell on Amazon, you should look to take a Goldilocks approach. That's something that's not too high and not too low. Instead, it's just right. Ideally, you want to sell something that's not so cheap that the profit per unit that you get isn't worth getting out of bed for, but not so expensive that a customer has to think twice about purchasing, which could lead to them wanting to sleep on their decision and then forgetting to buy from you or choosing a competitor instead. So look for a product to sell that is priced at least £12 or $14, or on the upper side, £30 or $35. Of course, you can be successful if you choose to price a product outside of this range, but in my experience, £12 to £30 is the sweet spot. So that's sales and orders out of the way. Let's now get to the interesting stuff, the costs. Of the £390,000 worth of revenue that I generated, because of the fact that I'm VAT registered, £62,000 goes to Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs. It's an annoying and rather large expense to have, but it's something that should always be factored in to profit calculations if you think you're going to be VAT registered, i.e. hit that VAT threshold. Over the past few months, I also ran a number of deals and I provided customers with promotions and coupons, and that was done in order to entice them to buy from me. So total expenses from deals and promotions came to £6,500. And whilst that does seem like quite a high figure, I know that it's one of those necessary expenses that will pay off in the long run. Running a promotion, deal, or coupon on Amazon is a great way to help increase your product's level of conversion. And that is ultimately going to mean higher sales and a better page ranking, which gives you much higher profits. So whilst you may be reluctant to sell your product at a discounted price because it's going to mean less profit for you, think about the long-term effect. If the discount that you offer resonates with your customers, you should see your orders increase, which means that your Amazon page ranking is going to improve, helping you to make more organic sales and more profit overall. Next up, we have good old Amazon fees, which mainly comprise of referral fees, so Amazon's commission for each sale that I made on their site, and fulfillment fees, which are the charges that Amazon makes for picking, packing, and posting the product to the customer. In total, over the past 3 months, I spent £59,000 on referral fees and £60,000 on FBA fees. And that comes to around 30% of my total revenues, which is pretty typical for any seller doing Amazon FBA. If you're going to be selling on the Amazon platform, you can pretty much guarantee that you're going to need to make use of advertising. And that's so that you can get your product seen by as many people as possible. Amazon's advertising system is pay per click. And that literally means that they'll only charge you when a customer clicks on your ad, rather than just sees it. Over the past 3 months, I spent £58,000 on advertising, and that works out to be around 18% of my net revenues. This was a little higher than I'd like, but I did launch a number of new products throughout the period, and I outsourced my advertising to an agency, and both of those increased my advertising costs in the short run, so hopefully they'll be lower over the next few months. Advertising on Amazon is a necessary evil, and that's because whilst it does suck to have to pay for it in the short term, it does actually help boost your profits massively in the long term, because it's going to allow you to get more reviews, a better page rank position, and more sales, ultimately meaning more profit. In order to protect as much of your profit as possible, try to aim to keep your long-term advertising spend between 10 to 15% of your total sales figures. The final bucket before we go on to my costs is Amazon reimbursements, and those totaled £1,600. Occasionally, Amazon will lose some of your stock, or a customer will claim for a refund but won't actually return the product, and in those cases Amazon will make a reimbursement to you, i.e. they'll give you the money back. The reimbursement process can sometimes be automatic, but most of the time you'll need to make a claim yourself, which you can either do manually or with the help of a company named Getida. The process with Getida is really straightforward. You provide them with certain permissions to your Amazon account. They check whether you're eligible for any reimbursements, make a claim for you, and then they take a proportion of the claim back if they're successful. If they're not successful, then they don't charge a fee at all. So it's a really handy service to have. I'd highly recommend it, especially if you can't be bothered to do it yourself. Okay, so now we can move on to the costs that I've incurred outside of Amazon. Over the past 3 months, the total value of the stock that I sold came to £99,000. So that includes manufacturing costs, duties and taxes, and shipping charges. Other costs that I incurred were storage costs, and that came to £900, and PPC agency fees of £4,000, and then image design fees for a new product of £200. That was pretty much it for the costs incurred by me outside of Amazon, and that should really put it into perspective just how fantastic this business model is. No other overheads, rent costs, or staff costs at all. How good is that? So now that we've run through revenue and expenses, we can now work out the figure that you're all here to see, the profit. In total, over the past 3 months, my total profit came to £43,000. And this is a figure that I'm really happy with, especially as Amazon FBA is still a side hustle for me that I do entirely in my spare time. And what's also really encouraging is that when looking at my profit over each individual month, £20,000 of that total, £43,000, was made in the most recent month. So half of my total. So my sales and margins have steadily been improving, which puts me in a really good position to achieve an even higher level of profit, which hopefully I'll be showing you guys in next quarter's update. Hopefully you've enjoyed this profit update and it's given you the encouragement to finally get started with your Amazon FBA journeys. Just remember that I've earned all of this with minimal hours being spent on the business. And whilst it's not completely passive, it is a very hands-off business model that does generate nice amounts of cash each month, and it can eventually be sold to an investor. So get started if you haven't already. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next time.